Hello, today we're going to make traditional American donuts. For this recipe, we need bread flour, room temperature milk, sugar, eggs, butter, vanilla, salt, and fresh yeast. The first step that we are going to make is to dissolve the fresh yeast into the room temperature milk. It is important that it is at room temperature because if it is very cold, it is not going to activate, and if it's very warm, it is going to die. Okay, so we are just going to take it into the milk, and with a spoon, we are going to dissolve it. This is going to make it easier to integrate with the rest of the ingredients. It needs to be very dissolved. The next step is to begin kneading the ingredients. For this, we are going to make a volcano into the table by throwing all the flour, and then with our hands we are going to make a hole in the inside. The first ingredient to add is the salt, and we are going to add it at the corners. We are going to add it inside over the flour to prevent it to be in direct contact with the yeast, because the salt works as a controller of the yeast, but in high quantities, and if it's added directly to the yeast, it is going to kill it. So we need it to be as far as possible to the yeast. Then I will add the sugar. This is called an straight method or direct method. It is to add all the ingredients together and then mix and then knead. I am going to begin adding all the ingredients, all the liquid ingredients. And first I'm going to add the egg. With my hand, I am going to begin mixing. This volcano is going to prevent that all my ingredients are over all my table. Okay, I'm just integrating them. And then I will begin to add little by little the milk. Once I feel that my ingredients are integrated, I will begin to add more liquid. And this way until all the liquids are integrated. important to remove all the dough from the hands to prevent the dough from sticking to the hands. Once I have an unified dough, I am going to add the last ingredient, which is the fat. In this case, it is butter. Why is it the last ingredient? Because all of the fats, the butter, the shortening, and the oils are going to slow down the process of kneading. It is also at room temperature. Then I will continue with the kneading process. Of kneading, the dough needs to be elastic. So we are going to prove it. If we can stretch it and we can see through it like a fabric, it means that it's ready. So we place it into the table, we stretch it with both fingers, and if we can see through it, it is already kneaded. So I'm going to leave it to rest for a few minutes in a bowl with a little bit of oil to prevent it to stick to the bowl. I'm going to stretch it a little bit. Take it to the bowl. And I'm going to cover it with a plastic or a plastic bag. I'm going to leave it to rest for approximately 30 minutes or until it doubles size at room temperature. After 30 minutes of resting, our dough has grown. It has doubled its size. So I'm going to begin giving the shape. fluffy. So I'm going to put a little bit of flour in the table. Then more flour, not too much, and with a rolling pin I'm going to stretch it. Approximately it has to be 1.5 or 2 centimeters. Make sure it is not sticking to the table, and if it is sticking, use a little bit more or flour. All the dough even at the same at 1.5 centimeter, I am going to cut it. I have a rounded cookie cutter. And then with a smolder or with a tip, I'm going to make a hole. And inside a tray with flour, I'm going to put all my donuts so they can rest again. I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of the dough. I'm going to leave a few without the hole in the middle because this is a berlina. And then I will fold again all the dough and then stretch it again to make the rest of the donuts. Every time you fold again the dough, it is important to leave it to rest for about 5 to 7 minutes because it is going to be extending very easily. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here for 5 minutes and then I'm going to stretch it again. Okay, after 5 minutes, it is already set to be cutted. Okay, so with this dough I'm going to do the same thing, and with the donuts I am going to leave them for approximately 20 minutes or until they double its size, and then I am going to begin to cook them into hot oil. After a few minutes of resting, they are ready to be cooked. We can see that they have grown. It is important to have the oil very heat at a high temperature once the donuts are ready to be cooked. Okay, so I am going to go to my kitchen to cook them. Okay, so now that the oil is ready, I am going to begin to cook all of the donuts. Very carefully, I am going to take one and take it to the oil. I can put 2 donuts into the hot oil, but try not to overcrowd the oil with a lot of donuts. Once I see that they are already cooked for one side, I am going to flip them. When they are ready for both of the sides, I'm going to take them out of the oil and put it in some paper. I already let them cool for a few minutes, and I'm going to decorate them with white sugar, or with a glazing. I made this glaze with icing sugar and water. But also we can decorate them with a little bit of chocolate. this is our donuts, the final result.